Welcome back to the channel, guys. Offscript is here to give you one present to open a little bit early this year. We have our top 5 favorite Christmas movies for you. I'm sure these are some of your guys' favorite movies too. Let's get right into the list. Alright, so for my number 5 spot, I have Gremlins. I honestly forgot this was a Christmas movie until I looked it up the other day. Because I had my first 4 picks down by like heart, but I was like, I need a 5th one, and I'm just blanking on all the Christmas movies. So I looked up a list of them, and that one was on there. And I was like, oh yeah, man, that is a good one. It was a really, really, really young Corey Feldman in that movie, and I have somewhat of an obsession with Corey Feldman just because of this podcast that I listen to.
Okay. Hi, are you Michael Jackson?
Yes, and you are?
I'm Corey, I'm a Goonie.
You're that kid from the Gremlins, aren't you?
Yeah, you recognize me?
I must have seen that movie a dozen times.
Really?
He's a super strange guy nowadays, but yeah, that movie was like, it's a horror comedy, but setting like Christmas time. So
Yeah.
it was, parts of it are a little bit scary, but for the most part, it's generally pretty silly and everything. So yeah, it's a good movie.
I actually didn't think about that one until today when we were getting ready to start it. It's a Christmas movie as much as like Die Hard's a Christmas movie, but a little bit more so just because it actually has Christmas elements to it. Die Hard just happens to be like just coincidentally happening around Christmas. But yeah, that's why I forgot. That's probably why I forgot about it being technically a Christmas movie. All right, for my number 5 spot, I was in the same boat. I didn't really know what I wanted to put for my 5 because I had like my 4 down. I was like, yeah, these are definitely in there. But for number 5, and we talked about it a little bit last night, it just like solidified it, I think, for me. But it's The Night Before, a Seth Rogen stoner movie, essentially. Because I didn't know anything about this one when it came out, and I watched it around Christmas, I think like 2 years ago, and I was like, oh, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Anthony Mackie, and Seth Rogen. Didn't expect to love it as much as I did. Didn't expect to laugh as much as I did because sometimes Seth Rogen gets on my nerves. But I think for this list, I'm just making things that make me feel like the spirit of Christmas, and I think that one definitely does. Between 3 buddies, one of them that loses his parents in a car crash, and just these 3 friends vowing to come together and make sure that he always has a good time. But then they're growing up, and now it's just like they gotta have one last go ahead with this. And I thought it was really, really good. Probably one of the better Seth Rogen movies I've seen.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's one of those comedies where it's like it's got a pretty good like cast of like different people like that you wouldn't see in a movie together usually, and and it does have some pretty good like adult lessons of like mature undertones. Like it is about growing up, even though they're all adults. It's about like growing up and like friendships changing and all that kind of stuff. So it does have a pretty good lesson there. For my number 4, now we're starting to get into more where it's like just staples of Christmas, where probably everybody has seen these, and these are probably in their favorite movies. But just the Home Alone franchise. I say franchise because 1 and 2 are like the ones that everybody knows of, but I really like Home Alone 3 a lot as well. So, but yeah, Home Alone is just classic, just silly shenanigans that would never ever happen in real life. Real burglars are not going to fall for all those tricks, despite how dumb they are. That kid would be just dead in real life. But
And honestly, yeah, I think it's like it just makes it fun. I don't know, like we know that would never happen. Like all that, like people would, especially like, you have people like Joe Pesci's character and all of them in there who are these top level like criminals and everything, and they're just falling for the easiest shit. But I'm in the same boat. I think 3 was good too, and so many people shit on me for that. And I'm like, I think it's so good. I really like the 1 and 2, but 3 is great. So for my number 4, same thing. These are all just ones that I just can't not watch every year. But it's the Polar Express. I've heard different things on the Polar Express. Some people didn't like it. Some people did love it. For me, I think it's one of the most like true meaning of Christmas movies I've ever watched. I think the animation's really, really good. Anything Tom Hanks is in, I think I've pretty much watched almost everything. If I've missed something, I mean, it just fell on the wayside somehow. But Tom Hanks in this is fantastic. He plays so many different roles. But me and Anna, we went and seen this, and in the theater. They had like a Christmas showing of it in the theater, and it was just that much better because you have like everybody in there that knows the movie, and like they give out like these whistles, like these train whistles and like bells and everything, and just makes it interactive. So I think after we watched it, then it solidified it as like a better movie for me even now, watching 8 years later. The Polar Express just warmed my heart when I watched that one.
That's one of those that like I just can't get into for some reason, and I know like kids love it, and I'm gonna have my kids watch it and everything too because it is a good movie. I was too old when it came or when I saw it. I was too old because it kind of almost has like a depressing feeling to it. The animation style is very despite it being around Christmas for the most of it, it's very dark colors, like very gray, black, white, like that sort of thing. It isn't until the very end when they actually get to the North Pole and all the Christmas lights and decorations are up and everything that it actually brightens up a little bit, which I guess kind of goes with the story a little bit. But yeah, for the most part, it's just not. It doesn't feel like a Christmas movie until the very end. It just feels like a winter movie.
Right.
So it was a little hard for me to get into because I was just too old by the time it like gained popularity and I would have seen it. So, but I do know that like Tom Hanks is the conductor character is super funny in that movie and yeah, there's some really good bits in there for sure. For my number 3 spot, I have A Christmas Story.
Ooh.
And this is just one of those, like, you could probably find all of these movies on these lists on TV around around this time of year. But that's one that plays religiously, like on repeat. I think TBS plays it for 24 hours straight, like Christmas Eve through Christmas Day. And I watch it, man. Every year I watch the whole thing start to finish. And it's still good every year, man. I don't know what it is. It's like all the jokes I still laugh at, even though they're the same ones that are funny every time. It's just like I don't know. It's just something magical about it.
Yeah, I don't know what it is either. Like whenever they do the tongue stuck into the pole thing, even though that thing's like since that movie, that concept's been overused in a lot of shows or just life or anything like that. Every time I watch that movie, it makes me fucking laugh my ass off. I don't even know what it is, but it just there's like that, and then just the whole bunny outfit, that little thing.
Yeah.
It's just there's so many iconic scenes in the movie that I love. And yeah, Christmas Story is fantastic.
Yeah, and I think what it is too is it's like it's a really old movie, obviously, and I think that's really impressive when a movie that aged has aged so well. I guess you should say, where it's like kids watch it and still think it's funny, even though it's from however long ago. And the thing that I think really helps it is there's the narrator. There's narration in movies, obviously, that's not a new thing by any means, but the narration style that they do with having, like, young Ralphie, but then having his, like, adult self, like, narrate over all the situations that he's going through, it's just really different, and they just really they hit the nail on the head with that one.
Yeah, I also think I don't know if you feel the same, but I talked about this recently with this movie. Is it's weird because it feels like an accidental movie to me. Like it doesn't have like a big like definitive plot. Like getting from point A to point B, which doesn't hurt it. I don't know. Like usually that would hurt a movie, but for me, I don't know. It just feels like an accidental movie. Like I'm just peeking in on this like life or this kid's life. He's just telling us this pretty simple story, but it's just so entertaining. And so I think it's very impressive for a movie to be able to do that.
You know what also helps it too is it's got those like weird cutaway scenes, like the gags, like in skits that they do, and I'm like, it's just so odd that they were doing like a Family Guy thing, like way back then. Like you said, it's really the plot is very minor and in the background almost, and it's just it's like the Breakfast Club. Like there's no real plot. It's just like good character work.
just it's there.
Yep.
For my number 3, this one has to make it in here, but it's Elf. I love Elf so much. I watch this. Yeah, these top 3, I watch them, if not repeatedly, every Christmas. But Elf is just so good. Will Ferrell. I think it's probably my favorite Will Ferrell movie. It's just like the innocence and like the goofy like moronic stuff that he does in this. Just I've cried laughing, even though I've watched this a million times. But I think it just has a good message to it as well. On top of the the dumb humor that they do, just watching him fucking belch after he drinks the entire 2 liter of soda and just pouring a whole bunch of shit on his spaghetti and just every moment in that. And a lot of people forget too. That's a Jon Favreau movie too, and people know him now from like Mandalorian or Lion King or Jungle Book or anything like that. But that's one of his, and he makes his own cameo in his movie there too, where he plays that doctor where Wolfro just keeps eating those cotton balls.
Yeah, that's really just a testament to Will Ferrell. Just going for it full force whenever he does a role. Because he actually ate all that shit. Like he ate all that syrup. The cotton balls are made out of cotton candy, and he actually ate all those to the point where all this sugar was making him physically sick on set. Like he was eating so much of it for these takes. And that belch that he does at the dinner table was a real belch. It was just a voice actor that did it, and they dubbed it over.
Yeah.
So that's pretty impressive. But
so great.
Yeah, that's one of the few movies where like my dad will sit and watch that with us, like, and he's not really into a lot of movies like that. He's more into like dramas and like serious type of stuff, but he'll sit there and watch that with us every year, and yeah, he loves it.
I pegged him as kind of like a race car dude. Like, he has to have explosions in race cars.
No, he doesn't really care for like action movies so much. He's more like it has to be realistic for him. Most of the time, like he likes comedies. Don't get me wrong, but like he watches ID all day, like just all the murder shows. So yeah, if there's not like a real murder that happens in the movie, like based off of something real, he's generally gonna fall asleep during it.
Oh, fantastic!
I have Elf as my number 2, actually. You can't not include it on there. It's just one of the most iconic Christmas movies of all time, and it's only been around for 15 years.
Has it been that long? Good lord!
I want to say it's around. I'd have to look it up, but like that seems like about right. Yeah, just great, man. I don't know. He's just so good at acting like a child with no care in the world, and that's not an insult in any way. I mean, he does adult roles and everything too. But all of his characters that he does are just usually pretty goofy, and that one is like goofy in an innocent way. Like, it's not like he's stupid. He's just he has a childlike sense of wonder, basically.
Does.
Yeah. It's just so many good lessons in that movie, and great acting, and all those like improv scenes that he did on the streets of New York when he first got there, like just nobody knowing that it was a movie, and he's just like pissing all these people off.
It's so great. Yeah, and here it is. It says it's 3 years shy of being 20 years old. It came out in 2003.
Oh yeah, so I was even a little bit off. But
good.
Price is Right rules. I mean, it didn't bust. I didn't go over.
My number 2 is The Grinch. And again, same thing. Like, I think maybe not as much now. I used to love Jim Carrey when I was little, but this is probably, I think, my top one. If it's not, it's probably Ace Ventura. But The Grinch is just so good. I'll watch this multiple times too. Probably the most quotable movie that I have. I just, there's so much that I can quote in this movie, and I don't know if that's sad or a great thing or not, but this movie makes me laugh like anything too. I think this is where there's one of those things where they just take an adaptation of a movie, because all they had was the cartoon and everything like that, and then they just kind of expand it a little bit and just throw, like, okay, we want the Grinch, but we want Jim Carrey and the Grinch, like pretty much both of them to have a kid, and this is what we want to make the offspring. So it's just both of them, just kind of throwing both mixtures in. Like, obviously he's the Grinch on the mountain that hates all these people, but he's got like that goofy personality, and I think that's what made it work. So
yeah, that's one of those movies where a really different take on it. Like, actually, a lot of the Dr. Seuss live action movies, I should say a lot of them. I don't know how many there's actually been. I can only think of 2 off the top of my head. But like, they kind of went that way with like the Cat in the Hat movie as well.
Yeah.
Which I really liked. A lot of people think it's weird and like not funny, but I freaking love it. And they have like these adult comedy actors playing the characters. So Mike Myers is playing Cat in the Hat, and Jim Carrey's playing the Grinch, and they just I'm sure a lot of it's improv, and They're just bringing their like personality to it.
Right.
Yeah, that one, The Grinch, actually, like, it freaked me out a little bit when I was a kid when it first came out, because they actually made him look pretty scary looking. I thought for little kids. I mean, he's goofy and all, but like, just the makeup was just so good. Um, yeah, and I don't like the Who's. I think they're weird looking. It gets, I don't know, man. The nose freaks me out a little bit.
So creepy. I think that's why they had to make it a comedy, because they know how scary it look if they didn't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a good one. I know Kelly really likes that one too. So like, I'll watch it not as often as these other ones, but if it's on, I'll kind of watch it for a little bit. I don't know what your number one is. We might have the same number one actually, just based on what you were saying earlier. But it's National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
It is. Number one.
Nice. I mean, I watched that one every year.
It's so good.
Just multiple times, even. Like, if it's on one part of the day, I'll catch it later on in the day too.
Yeah.
It's just so good. And because I think what really makes it special too is because I don't really care so much for the other vacation movies as much. Like, they're funny, don't get me wrong. Like, the first one's hilarious. When they're going to Wally World. I mean, that's probably the next best one. But this one is just, like, such a different, like, look at the family. And I especially love how the kid actors change every movie. Like, almost every movie. But you get a young Johnny Galecki in there. I feel like you could we could probably put that one in our video for, actors that you don't realize show up in other movies. No, but like Cousin Eddie and just the freaking, oh god, Aunt Bethany. She wraps up her freaking cat in the present, and then it's like a Jello mold that they wrap up too or something, and it's like leaking.
That's why it's so funny, because like this is like the kind of comedy, but it's like it's real. Like they don't go overboard, like in your face kind of slapstick comedy. This is like comedy that's like everybody's got like family and shit like this, where situations like this can arise. Like even just scenes of him putting Christmas lights up, and and things with with Cousin Eddie showing up and just being this rambunctious, just buffoon, but just carelessness.
Yeah,
and everything.
So
like
lovable.
So grounded.
Yeah, and like you're saying, it's only not over the top because you've already been introduced to the Griswolds and you already know this kind of stuff happens to them all the time. So you're just taking that with just the normal, like, and it doesn't happen too much in our small town families because everybody generally lives pretty close, but like a lot of the families that are like, everybody's moved out or like separated a little bit, the family comes to stay at the one family's house, like the extended family, for the Christmas holiday. And I'm sure it probably gets crazy and hectic and all that kind of stuff with that many people living under one roof at the same time, especially in-laws and stuff that you might not get along with and all this other stuff. So many great iconic scenes from that movie, so many quotable lines. Freaking Cousin Eddie, man, is just like one of the funniest characters of all time. I don't want to mess with the sled today, Clark. I got a metal plate in my head. Every time Nancy turns on the microwave, I piss my pants and forget who I am for 30 seconds.
God, he just shows up. It just kind of like throws himself in without any kind of acknowledgement. That's what makes him hilarious. It's like nobody invites him to do any of this stuff. He's like, yeah. I think the most quotable line from this thing, the thing that makes me cry laughing, is you got Clark in there and he's trying to get the kids hyped for Santa and says, kids, we got Santa was just spotted over New York or where, I can't remember where he said exactly.
Oh yeah, they had him on radar or something.
Are you serious, Clark?
yeah, he's just incredulous. It's like, are you serious, Clark?
Just so excited.
It's
such a good movie.
No, dude, that's so good. I'll record that and just watch it multiple times over the holiday.
You know what's great? Also, too, while we're on it, too, with Cousin Eddie, I think his introduction to this movie was great. If you remember, like, it's like in that moment where Clark finally gets those lights on, everybody's outside, and then Eddie's just there.
yeah, he's just standing next to him. It's like, sure is pretty, Clark. Thanks, Eddie. He's like, oh god, and they're like, oh, Ruby Sue, your eye isn't crossed anymore. And he's like, yeah, mule kicks her, eyes go cross-eyed, falls down a well, eye goes back to normal. I don't get it.
It's just like, it's this like it's like such a great homage because like when I watch the movie, I'm like, yep, that's where me and Connor are from, a place where cousin Eddie's are all just walking around now. It's like our hometown, man.
Yeah, yeah, that's super relatable.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just so many great scenes in that whole movie. And I'd like to know also in the beginning of that movie, how did they didn't bring a saw with them, and they just like make you think that they ripped that tree out of the ground.
Because they had the roots and everything like attached to it, like the
Yeah,
ground.
they got all the way out there. They walked for like God knows how long, and then they're like, "Did you bring the saw?" And he's like, and then they just cuts to them. They have it just ripped out by the roots on the top of their car.
Yeah, I'm guessing that the station wagon just can hold it. It's just like not in the ground at all.
Oh man, it's just one of those things that it doesn't have to make sense. It works really
No,
well.
you just have to enjoy it. You just gotta enjoy it. That's it. Oh my gosh, yeah, I think that's perfect. I'm actually happy that we got a good majority of our top five different. Only two of them were the same, which is pretty awesome because you just got more expansive list.
Yeah, and these are all staples. I mean, I think everybody is probably up to a certain age has probably seen these movies, and like us probably watches them every Christmas. It's just a good time, like just like when you get together with family and you guys tell the same 10 stories back and forth to each other every time you see each other, just like funny stuff that's happened or whatever, and it's just always the same 10 stories, but it's just still funny every time no matter what, just because they're your memories, and that's kind of the way these movies work a lot of times. They're just something that you guys think everybody can bond over and just laugh at and quote to each other all the time. Yeah, I'm looking forward to spending Christmas Day with my family and watching a good chunk of these and just having a blast.
I think that's the big thing is my family does the same stuff. Like it doesn't really matter. I think if slapstick comedies aren't your thing or dramas or anything like that aren't your thing. I think generally now if I'm like I could be wrong, but generally I think people just pretty much bond over the Christmas movies. They have them on, even if they're just having in the background. They're not truly just sitting down watching them. I know when I went back home recently for our Christmas, we did ours early. Yeah, we had Christmas movies and stuff going too, and my mom and all of them aren't really big on like slapstick comedy and like the Grinch or anything like that. But just having it in the background, I think everybody just bonds over that. It just kind of brings the season in.
Yeah, just having it on and just setting the atmosphere. It's almost like just background noise. In some cases, it's like if you don't have, that's your fireplace. If you don't have a fireplace, you just have a movie like that on where it's just comfy and cozy.
Yeah, that's because most time we'll have it on and won't even have like the volume of it will be kind of low even too, and we just have Christmas music playing. It's creating that atmosphere, and I think that's especially one thing this year we need in 2020 being a shitstorm in a lot of ways. I think it's Christmas season, if anything, is a good way to end 2020 because that's one thing that we can at least try to make things joyous. That's Christmas movies are fantastic. Christmas music definitely is one of those things I think a lot of people bond over and gravitate towards to spend time with one another.
Yeah, like Thanksgiving leading up to Christmas is just that time of year is just all about like being thankful and for what you do have, and then giving to others and being selfless. And like you said, this has been a pretty horrible year. So to be able to lean on movies like this, music, just the festivities of these holidays and getting together with family when you can and that sort of thing, spending time together. Like if you just lean on that and try to realize that, yeah, it's bad, but it's it's not all bad, and it'll get better. These movies are just a great way to kind of take your mind off of all that stuff and just live in the moment instead of kind of thinking about what you've been through over the past year. Just try to look forward to what's coming next year because I think it's going to get better.
It will. It definitely will. And that's why we're here with our fantastic channel to give happiness to everybody. Created it in 2020 for all this bullshit. And it's, I think, if this isn't our last video of the year, I think we'll have definitely one more. They definitely are going to be lighthearted. And they're not ever not lighthearted, I guess, but Christmas season top offs are what we're aiming for. I think our next one, if we hit one again this year, will be another Christmas themed one, just to I think people need it.
Yeah, definitely. It's not. We're not doing this for money or anything, obviously, because it's not like that. If it happens one day, great. But for right now, man, it's just a hobby because it was just getting real rough. Not having an outlet for all this energy being pent up, being stuck inside the house with quarantine and all that kind of stuff, just turned into a hobby. And so, if you guys don't necessarily enjoy the topics or the content material, we're just basically just trying to connect with you through sharing our love of these topics, these movies, shows, games, all that kind of stuff. So regardless of whether you're into the topic itself, we're just sending good vibes out with it either way. So at least just catch some of those.
Oh yeah, we just like to bullshit too, so this is a good way for us to just get in here and chit chat.
Yeah.
It's not on games. This is another good way for us. So people can just, if you like to just sit back and just chill and hear this bunch of two guys just bullshitting about a bunch of shit, then here we are. I enjoy doing it. Yeah, like you said, we're not doing it for money, nothing like that. We're just sitting here talking about stuff that we thoroughly enjoy, whether it's games, movies, TV, comics, whatever it is. I think this is a good way for us to do it. I think 2020 and the quarantine stuff has definitely shown that to people. When they've connected people through Zoom or phone calling or anything like that. I think we've adapted to different things now. I think this is one thing that I didn't think about before it, and I think this is a good way for us to get our stuff that we like to talk about out.
Yes, and my cybernetic enhancements are almost complete. So soon we will have full integration with the system.
Yes. Don't worry. We will. We'll be everywhere. Right now, we're just in your computer or phone or whatever. But pretty soon, we'll be all over. So
yes,
get ready. We're not done yet. This is just a stepping stone. What a good God.
Oh gosh. All right, that's probably a good place to end it. All right, guys. There you have our top 5 favorite Christmas movies. Some of them did overlap a little bit, but can't avoid that when there's so many classics involved. Hope you guys enjoyed. Remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. Turn on those notifications so you don't miss a future upload. And that's all we got for you today, guys. Merry Christmas. And we're going to wrap that up here for now. And we'll see you guys in the next one.